Can you remember the Knight Rider tour car?
Oh yeah, I remember this. I got a photo just like this one.
That's me sitting in it when I was about 8 years old, back in the mid-80s.
Yeah, I went to it at Manukau Shopping Centre. I mean, I'd like to take my kids to see it one day.
I've got a bit of a story for you. You're not going to believe this.
Back in the 1980s, NBC television show Knight Rider was a hit show around the world that engaged viewers young and old with its weekly action-packed episodes. This is the story of one of the promotional KITT cars that came to New Zealand. A black and gold 1982 Trans Am was transformed into a KITT promotional tour car by Carl Casper and his team. Carl's team had the exclusive rights to use the Universal Studios moulded parts, the same molds used for the actual screen-used cars. In 1983, the car began its tour of malls and car shows in the USA before heading up to Canada in 1984. The car even appeared on the cover of the Hot Rod Show World magazine with a classic 80s model posing by the car. From the US, the car was bundled into a container and shipped to New Zealand. In New Zealand and then Australia, the car toured extensively in association with Kodak. The car had an audio track that played in the car featuring William Daniels, the voice of KITT on the show.
I'm KITT, a creation of Knight Industries for the exciting and action-filled NBC television series Knight Rider.
David Hasselhoff visited New Zealand in the mid-80s to record an album and took the KITT tour car on a drive to the Auckland Children's Hospital. David visited the young patients in the ward, signed autographs and showed the children KITT sitting in the hospital parking lot. Back in New Zealand and after Knight Rider had been cancelled, to save the cost of shipping the car back to America, the tour car was sold to an Auckland-based local businessman in 1988. The tour car then disappeared for 10 years. From the late 1990s, the car was on loan to the Monterey Park Car Museum in Auckland. In the early 2000s, the car returned to its owner and had an interesting period being used to promote various products. The last time the car was shown in public was the 2007 Big Boys Toys event in Auckland. Unfortunately, during the car's early 2000s promotional period, modifications were made to the dash, including removal of the twin TV monitors. The original scanner was also removed and replaced with an array of flashing halogen lights. The tan interior was painted black, it was recarpeted in black, and the unique PMD-style front seats were removed and replaced with the later model black leather-style seats. These modifications destroyed some of the originality of the tour car, but luckily the Carl Casper fitted upper and lower consoles and dashboard were largely untouched, along with the original Knight Rider style wheels. For a 35-year-old car, it was in good shape mechanically and the body was in near perfect condition, so most of the restoration work was to recreate the appearance of KITT on the show. The car was going to need a complete set of interior plastics, replacement seats and new carpet. In a stroke of luck, a 1982 Trans Am turned up on a car auction site in New Zealand that had the exact same interior and seats that the tour car had originally. Work started on restoration in July 2017 with a basic mechanical service, then the interiors of the tour car and donor car were stripped of all fittings, back to a bare metal shell and switched. During the restoration there were a few interesting finds, including a mice nest under the centre console, making a mess and chewing on the plastic insulation on the car's wiring. The car also had some funky electrical modifications to add lights and make others blink. Slowly the tour car was returned to its former 80s glory. With the interior completed, attention was turned to the exterior finishing. It was in pretty good condition, apart from a big dent in the front fender. With the dent pulled out, the car was cleaned and buffed, ready for its first public outing for years, the annual local Christmas light show, where it was a huge hit. Thanks to going a bit viral on social media, some people travelled miles from all over the city to see it. While the car may have never been used on the actual show, the tour car does have a unique place in television history, and it's on this basis that the car will be preserved. Now it's restored to its 1980s vintage condition, it will likely end up in a car museum or continue on the tour circuit, but rest assured it will be saved for the enjoyment of future generations and, of course, fans of Knight Rider and of the 80s.
Oh, well, cool. Should we go for a drive?